Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Business Utility Subcommittee. Today is Tuesday, January the 30th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, can you take the roll, please?
Representative Alexander, Representative Burkhart, Representative Clemens, Representative Freeman, Representative Hale, Representative Holsclaw, Representative Johnson, Representative Marsh, Representative Thompson, Representative Vaughn, Representative Vital, Representative Zachary,
Here.
Chairman Boyd. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Members of the committee, before we get started today, do we have any personal orders? I actually do. I have a friend of mine, State Farm Agent Shank Katare from Hermitage, Tennessee, shadow me today. If you'll make him feel welcome, please. And we do have a calendar today, so members will go ahead and get started. And first up is item number 1. That is House Bill 640 by Representative Bricken. We have a motion, we have a second, and Representative Bricken, we have an assortment of amendments. So let's go ahead and get started on those. What drafting code you got? I've got 3 of them. Go ahead, or 2 from you and 1 from a member of the committee. So go ahead with your first one.
The first one is 0138, and the second one's 010465.
Okay, and you need both of those put on there. So let's start with the second one that you said, and that's drafting code 012138. Can I get a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we are on that amendment. Does it require description or does it make the bill?
Well, it makes a bill that just changed the effective date to July 24th.
Okay, all right. Members, we're voting to put drafting code 012138. That's number 2 on the list, on the bill. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Now we're looking at drafting code 010465.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill.
Can we get a motion or a second on that? We have a motion. We have a second. We're on the amendment. Go ahead.
All right. This bill adds certain wording and some technical changes. It certainly points out to the committee that probably will come up in conversation that a national digital currency is not created or recognized by this in this legislation. And then it goes on. There's a couple other technical changes that this amendment does, but that's
okay. Let's go ahead and put that on there. Members, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Okay, that amendment is on there, and then we have a third amendment that was properly filed, but through kind of a little bit of confusion, it actually is untimely. So without objection, we will take drafting code 012833 by Chairman Zachary. Chairman Zachary, you recognize for description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the committee. Members, as Representative Bricken described, and I appreciate him working with me on this, in his amendment, there is language, very general language, that says the UCC does not endorse, create, or implement a national digital currency. And why I can appreciate his efforts with that, I feel like it doesn't go far enough. A central bank digital currency is one of the greater threats to our republic. If the federal government implements a central bank digital currency, they will literally be able to throttle down, throttle up, literally manage the way we spend our money, because it will be centrally controlled, just like China does now. And so, Mr. Chairman, there's only so much a state can do, but in the UCC drafting committee, they made clear that the central bank digital currency doesn't fit into the framework of the bill. They also made clear that if a central bank digital currency was implemented by the federal government, it would fall under a deposit account. So as North Dakota's done, Alabama's done, numerous other states have done, this amendment simply adds the language: the term of deposit account does not include a central bank digital currency. And what that means specifically is it doesn't impact the consumer in any way if a central bank digital currency is implemented. We as consumers have no impact. This is impact directly to the banks, to the deposit accounts, not allowing them to use a central bank digital currency as collateral. So I appreciate the bankers working with me on this. We made a tweak. I worked with Tim Amos and that group. So, Mr. Chairman, I would ask for passage and support of this amendment to add to the bill.
Okay, thank you for that description, Chairman Zachary. Members, do we have any questions on Chairman Zachary's amendment? If not, we're voting to amend the bill with drafting code 012833. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bill is amended. Now we are back on the bill as amended. Representative Bricken, just to remind you, there's been a little bit of a change this year, and you are limited to 5 minutes of description. You're recognized.
I will not need 5 minutes. I was going to start off saying this is a very simple bill, members. It's only 100 pages long, but it basically makes various changes to the Uniform Commercial Code, known by all of us as UCC, adopted by the Uniform Law Commission of the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Law. This legislation currently has been adopted by 11 states. It's before at least 13 states currently. And the commission would like for this uniform UCC legislation to get passed by 2025. So all 50 states will be in compliance and operate under UCCs. I mean, UCC laws, again, for the financial world, it's important to know the rules of the game when you're filing liens, what is eligible collateral, all that. That's all embedded in this UCC legislation. So it hasn't been updated since 2020 or 1999. So the world has changed a lot in the last 23 years, and a lot of new collateral, a lot of new types of things have come about. And so this just brings this world, the UCC rules, codes, definitions up to date. And that's the purpose of this legislation. So with that.
Thank you, sponsor, for that description. Members of the committee, do we have any questions? Chairman Vaughn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Boyd. You could feel the beams coming off my head. And Chairman Bricken, I appreciate you bringing this. It's pretty meaty. It's pretty weighty. I know that there's been a lot of concern about it with regards to various issues other than getting things up to speed. I'm a little bit concerned that nobody's come by to talk to me about it. It's a 97-page bill that has a lot of fear within the public arena. I've got some questions with regards to it having how it treats various private digital currencies that are currently traded. And I'm not satisfied with my ability to be able to digest my concerns without having somebody who's more familiar with the legislation. And again, I'm not from the financial world. I'm not from the Uniform Commercial Code world. I'd like to learn a great more about this because if I have folks contacting me saying that they've got concerns, and then on top of it, I've got my own concerns that aren't related to their concerns, but they are other concerns about it. This just looks like a heck of a lot of work that the devil's in the details. And I would ask that I don't think we're in any big hurry, are we, on this piece? I know you mentioned 2025.
Representative Bricken, you recognize.
No, we certainly would like to get it past this session, okay? And I apologize. I thought this bill for all members were being explained properly. So I apologize to the chairman for him not being, for me not personally contacting you on this bill. And I'll certainly will get one-on-one and try to explain. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a UCC code expert. I've got myself educated on digital currency, fiat money, virtual currency, cryptocurrency as it is. It is a new asset. And being an asset, if you own a Bitcoin, you certainly should be able to pledge it. And there are custodians that hold Bitcoins. And if you're a bank and if you want to have Bitcoin as part of your collateral, there's means to attach Bitcoin as a collateral item. I mean, Bitcoin is not central bank currency. I mean, it is a totally different animal. But I'm not trying to explain to you here everything you might need to know. So I'll take the wishes of the committee. If another week and come back, try to satisfy everyone that this there's nothing embedded in here that we as Tennesseans don't want. I'll leave it up to the committee, because I think this is good legislation that Tennessee should get on board with, because it's good for the country. It's good to know these rules, and again, I think we can get there.
Chairman Vaughn.
I was not being critical of you not coming to see me, Chairman Bricken. I was being critical or acknowledging the fact that I might not be as smart as you thought I was. With regards to, I understand the need for us to update the collateral situation with the digital assets. Whether or not a bank chooses to use those or not is up to their board to make those decisions. But I do, anytime I see something with this many words on it, I get a little nervous. Might be reading comprehension, might be the fact that my cheaters need to be stronger. But it is indeed weighty subject matter that, and I know your intentions are honorable and are trying to bridge between the financial industry and what we see actually out on the street these days, and trying to bring things up to code and trying to make it to where eventually things will be better for our citizens. I'm not buying into all the hype with regards to things that may be lurking here. What I'm just telling you, I need, if I could vote for this, I need to understand it better than I do today. And I would ask for your, if you would give me the leeway to spend the time to take that. And I'm looking at it from a particularly bent from basically the private digital assets, which would be Bitcoin and all the other various means and variations of that. So I would appreciate if we could have a couple of weeks with it, to that way we get it, and then we'll get up and rolling and move on. And then if we need to have another amendment, then that would be very helpful to me. And I would appreciate the courtesy that you would extend me if we could do that.
All right. So what I'm hearing from the sponsor and from Chairman Vaughn is that we would like 2 weeks would work for everybody.
I think I could get my arms around it, and I see.
Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
And I don't know if this is possible, Chairman, but I would like to be educated on this. I'm not a banker. I mean, I married my husband, so we average my checkbook. So I desperately want to be educated on this, and I would kind of like to see us have maybe a meeting separate where we get educated on it.
Well, I tell you what I was going to recommend once we figured out the number of weeks. Tim Amos came and saw me just a few minutes ago, and even though I had read the bill and had Lovin read it with me and Jackson, we'd all looked at it together, Tim really broke it down for me like no one I've ever seen. And so he's not on the list to testify today. But in a week or two, whatever we decide here, he or an expert from his group could come and we could go out of session and let them really break it down for us. That's what I'd like to do. The question I have for the sponsor is, would you like to roll this 1 week or 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Recognized. 2 weeks. Members, without objection, House Bill 640 is rolled 2 weeks.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
You recognize.
Thank you. Chairman Bricken, I appreciate it. It'll help me get to where I can confidently vote on this. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank you, committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, we're back to the calendar and we're on item number 2. That's House Bill 1807 by Representative Butler. We have a motion. We have a second on the bill. And Representative Butler, it does look like you have an amendment. Can you confirm that drafting code for me?
Yes, Chairman, that drafting code is 12771.
That's what I'm showing. So members, can I get a motion and a second on the amendment? We have a motion. We have a second. Do you need to explain that or does that make the bill?
This amendment makes the bill.
All right, let's put it on there, members. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bill is amended. We're back on the bill as amended. Sponsor, you're recognized for explanation. You're limited to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. If you're in the construction industry, you understand the challenges in balancing inspections and productivity and weather and so forth. And so this bill simply requires a state entity inspecting new or renovated construction to conduct that inspection within 72 hours. So after getting this originally drafted that way in discussion with several of the departments, I've gone back and amended it to include that they can use technology, photographs, video, et cetera, to conduct that inspection within 72 hours. And also included that that's 3 business days. So this piece of legislation would mirror the 811 law that we already have in place, the call before you dig. I'm sure you've heard the commercials. But so this would mirror that. It would require them to conduct that inspection within 3 business days. And if they physically cannot be on site to do that inspection, you could submit photographs, you could do FaceTime or whatever other media you agreed on. And with that, I renew my motion. Be glad to answer any questions.
Sponsor, appreciate that description, and you got it in under 1 minute, so we appreciate that as well. Members of the committee, do we have any questions? Chairman Clemens, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just out of curiosity, is the state fire marshal on board with this, and are the local firefighters?
Sponsor, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. The State Fire Marshal's Office, the Department of Commerce, we have worked with them along with some other state entities, and we're still working through some of this. But so far, I don't think there's any department that's opposed to it.
Chairman Clemens.
And what about the firefighters? Have you heard
Sponsor.
from them?
Well, the firefighters, this really doesn't affect the firefighters. This is building inspection. So the Department of Commerce, the State Fire Marshal's Office under that department, they don't have an issue with this.
Chairman Clemens.
Okay, what I'm getting at is I just want to make sure that if these photographs are used to review, that it's going to be sufficient to carry out the job. That's just what I'm trying to figure out.
Sponsor.
Thank you, Chairman. That would be up to the inspecting authority. So, for example, if you submitted some pictures and those pictures weren't sufficient enough for that inspector, then they would tell you to take a different picture, take a different video. That's going to be handled between the inspector and the person that submitted those pictures. So, for example, if you submit a picture of something and you can't determine as the inspector, then you would tell them, look, take a picture at a different angle. Obviously, there are you're going to have to be able to take pictures and submit those, and there's going to have to be some working together there. But yes.
Chairman Clemens, you got anything else? And we've got Speaker Marsh up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I was looking at the physical note. Did your amendment take the physical note off, or is it still on here with all these state expenditures increasing for needing more inspectors?
Sponsor.
Thank you, Chairman. We are still working with that department on those, on that physical note. And that physical note was added after the amendment was filed, and that's from one department. One department doesn't have any physical cost. So we're still working with them, and they're still working internally to see if they can do this. They're in favor of the bill, but they've got to figure out internally how that they can work through the 72 hours. So we're still working with them on that, and they're not opposed to the bill. They're just trying to work out how they can meet those requirements.
Speaker Marsh.
Thank you. So what you're saying is the fire marshal and everybody involved in it is okay, I guess, if they get the money to provide the people.
Sponsor.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, sir. There's 2 departments here, the Health Commission and the State Fire Marshal's Office or Department of Commerce. And so the State Fire Marshal's Office didn't have any physical impact here, said it's not significant. The Health Commission says they would need some additional funding to hire another inspector or 2. And they're not saying that they can't do it at the moment. And I met with them this morning. They are still working through their internal processes to see what they can do, and told me today that they're going to be working with the Fire Marshal's Office to look at some of their processes and so forth to see if they can improve those inspection times. But they're in favor of trying to meet this goal. So we're going to continue to work with them through the process and hopefully eliminate that.
Speaker Marsh, got anything else?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Representative Vital.
Thank you. Explain for me again specifically what buildings or types of buildings would fall under this advanced timeframe.
Sponsor.
Thank you, Chairman. This would cover any new or renovated construction that the state's inspecting, whether it's a school, whether it's a healthcare facility, a surgery center, nursing home, church, depending on where you are, what jurisdictions there are. So it's going to apply to anything that the state is inspecting.
Representative Vital.
That's my point. Having been involved in the development of healthcare facilities for 25 plus years, we all have desired the state fire marshal to respond quicker when we have worked diligently to meet deadlines. At the same time, life safety is one of the biggest concerns when developing an assisted living or nursing home. I really want to be fair to the state fire marshal and to contractors and owners who are faced with delays, which cost money when a building is fully developed and waiting to come online, that we have the appropriate sign off and that this is done sufficiently. And I'm a little concerned about the photographic approval of life safety systems. 3 days seems somewhat tight to me for the state to respond, but I would love to have it, but I would like to think about the practical side of it. So with that, I have some concerns.
Sponsor, you recognize.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, obviously, if you're getting a certificate of occupancy or one of those final inspections that basically signs off on the whole project, I highly doubt that anybody would try to do that with pictures. This is going to be for more of your intermediate inspection. Like, for example, if the health commissioner or the state fire marshal's office is inspecting a set of footers, that can very easily be done with pictures or video, and you can see whether that's been done properly or not. So your life safety inspection, as you're mentioning, would be horns and strobes and sprinkler alarms and fire alarms and so forth. That's going to be done on the final inspection. I won't say that it couldn't be done via technology, but it would be very difficult. And that's a very important inspection. I don't think the owner nor the health commissioner or state fire marshal's office would want to do that one virtually or with pictures.
Representative Vital.
And maybe I didn't see it. Where did it specifically state the final inspection versus intermediates?
It doesn't. It doesn't address the specific inspections. I'm just using that from a let's look at this and see how we can practically make it work. When you're doing lots of those intermediate inspections of footing, if you're doing a framing inspection and they had some issue with something you had done, you can submit pictures in lieu of them actually coming back. Because in some instances, you're talking about 10 days to schedule an inspection before you can get somebody back. Well, that pretty much shuts an entire job down.
Representative Vital, anything else?
I think my concerns have been expressed. So I support the concept of timely response to developers and contractors. At the same time, I do want to continue to protect the public, especially in life safety during the process and final inspection. Thank you.
Chairman Vaughn, you recognize.
Thanks, Chairman Boyd and Representative Butler. I like what you're trying to do here, but I've been asked to carry a bill for the administration that has to do with third-party inspections, that has to do with building inspections, and that we may be getting at some of the same thing, and that is trying to get rid of some of this needless delay that seems to, the lethargy that has infiltrated the system of bureaucracy these days since the COVID days has just continued to build and build and build, and nobody's in a hurry about nothing. And especially, it's a big concern whenever there's needs and there's costs associated with it. But I also understand, I share some of the concerns that Representative Vital expressed, but I also think there's also this component of it that I find to be fascinating with regards to basically telehealth for inspections. I think that's something that needs to be reviewed and talked about. But what I would ask you to do, if you'd be willing for me and you to sit down together, look at what you're trying to accomplish. Let's look at this third-party administration bill, this inspection bill, and see if we can't come to figure out how we can suck some of this dead air out of this space that's become bureaucracy in our state. And if you'd be willing to do that, I'd be willing to do that. If you could put this thing, because right now it's there's a lot of I'm feeling the apprehension, but I think you got a great idea. But I think there may be another way to accomplish it. So if you'd be willing to roll this thing a couple of weeks, let's me and you look at this, the governor's bill that I'm carrying for him, and see if it's going to help with the problem. Because obviously, if the administration's posing a solution, it is indeed a problem. And so let's see if we can't figure out a way to get there. If you'd be willing to look at it, I would too.
Absolutely.
Sponsor 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Members, without objection, House Bill 1807 is rolled 2 weeks.
Thank you, committee.
Members, that brings us to the hill of the calendar. We have no further business. Without objection, this meeting is adjourned.